Well guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Pit 6. Well, there you go guys. That's what 5 minutes in the right spot equals. I've been here a couple of hours just setting bits and bobs up, causing a car crash, usual situation. Lad in the next door swim just had his second run. I've been watching fish crashing about 150 yards out. There's no way I can hit that. I'm about 100 and I thought, what the hell, I'll get the rods out. Second rod, literally put it down on the rest. I was trying to tighten the clutch up. Something weren't right, it was just too tight. Looked at the rod tip, it's lifting up. Loosened the clutch off a little bit and it absolutely ripped off. Like I say, I'd literally just cast in. This came along. I didn't even know what was going on. Took me a bit by surprise. Luckily I got the net set up. Anyway, I know it's only small, but hopefully it's a sign of things to come. We're fishing here on Pit 6. Let's get her back. Unbelievably, I'm in again. I nearly got the run on camera because I was just about to press record. I'd just got the first fish out, put it on the mat, and this absolutely melted off. This is the first rod I put out with the wafter on. I can't believe it, I've not even finished setting up. Anybody who knows me will know exactly what's behind that camera at the minute. A complete car crash. But I'm not complaining. I mean, this is just single bait, so I've not even put any bait out. Turned into a cheap trip at this rate. I never thought I'd come and fish Pit 6 and say I'm struggling to keep rods in the water. I've still only got 2 rods ready. You know what they say, make hay while the sun shines. I'm keeping the rod real low, trying to lead it in, hopefully in a bit of a straight line. Because although these swims are a little bit further apart on 6, when you're 100 yards out, you do end up fairly close together. I've not actually spoke to the other guys yet, so I don't actually know whereabouts they're fishing. I know the lad to the left's a long way out. Well, the sun's certainly shining on me today. I think it's only another fairly small one. Believe it or not, it's another common. No matter how big it is, one thing I'm not going to do is complain. That is for sure. Where there's one, there's more. I've seen some very good fish rolled in a bit further out. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yeah, she's in. Wow. Unbelievable. Well, sun's certainly shining on me today. That's a little bit bigger than the first one, but I am definitely not complaining. So, one in the sack, one in the net, carnage. And it's not even of my own making as per normal. Well guys, this is what I need to soak in. Well, there you go guys, fish number 2, fish in the sack, fish in the net, absolute carnage. Not even got set up yet. Anybody that knows me will know exactly what's behind that camera. A complete and utter car crash. The wind's gusting in, the fish are crashing at range. This one's about 12 pound. I'm not going to complain about the start I've had. Let's get her back and let's try and get it sorted out. I promise you guys, I am on pit 6. I'll show you in a little while. Okay, just before I crack the rig back out, I just want to quickly show you it. I've got a nice size 4 wide gape there with a wafter sat on it, and just a short piece of shrink tube, just to keep that gape open. It tends to tighten up a little bit with the 20 pound hook link material, which I'll show you in a bit. I've just got that running on a helicopter setup, only about 6 inches, and that's on leg core. Just want to pin that down to the bottom out there, just to keep it out of the way of the fish. Right, let's get it out. Okay guys, so the I can't believe I'm saying this, the action's slowed down. It's 6:45 now. The wind's dropping. I feel I can get some bait out there a little bit more accurate than I would have done maybe an hour or so ago when I was first going to do it. So I'm just going to knock out maybe 5 or 6 spoms. I'm going to start off just putting out whole boilies and chop boilies. See how accurate I am. If I'm pretty accurate, I'm going to add some pellet to it. If not, I don't mind having boilies spread out all over the place. It's only like a throwing stick, so I haven't got a problem with that. But what I don't want is small items all over. So I'm going to see how I get on and adjust the bait to suit. Well, there you go guys, put about 10 spoms out, just boiling, chock boiling in the end. Like I was thinking, I wasn't overly accurate, as you probably saw from the bit of footage I did. But that's not too much of a problem, I don't think, as long as you don't put small items out there. I mean, I'm feeding 20mm boilies and half boilies and bits of chops of boilies. So they're going to be moving around between the baits, and they're hopefully going to move around and find my rigs. This kind of fishing, I'm on pit 6, there's no features around this side, it drops off in the margin and it's pretty billiard table flat out there. The only feature is any bait you put in. If you put in loads of small items in over a really big area, you're just going to preoccupy the fish. So my tip there would be bigger baits. If you're not so confident spomming like myself, bigger baits, bigger chop baits, and it doesn't matter too much then when they're spread out. So guys, we're coming to the evening time now. I've still got stuff to do. I've not had any tea yet. I've not even had a cup of tea yet. Can you believe it? 2 beautiful fish this afternoon. I'm not going to complain with them. Hopefully they come a little bit bigger, but this is pit 6. So just catching a fish out of here, anything's a bonus. I've got to check in with her indoors. We all know, got to get the most important jobs done first. I've got 3 rods out there now. I've got 2 on wafters and I've got 1 on a snowman sat on the bottom. I was going to put a pop-up on, but after having them 2 nice fish this afternoon on rigs that were slammed on the bottom, I've decided against it. I've stuck with bottom baits on all 3. Everything's out now. I've got a few spoms out there. I'm going to make some tea, sit back and enjoy the rest of the evening. We'll go into rigs tomorrow in a bit more detail. I'll show you what I'm doing, what bait I'm putting in, and hopefully we've got some more fish to show you during the night. Catch up later. Well, there you go guys, we've been graced by another pit 6 beauty. I said last night I was hoping to get a bit better. You can't argue with that. 27 pound 13 ounces came at first light this morning. Just sacked her up to get the camera ready. Absolutely amazing. Gave me a bite a bit like a bream. Bit of a drop back, forward, drop back, forward. What was actually happening was fish was coming towards me. Wound down, connected with it about 30 yards from where I hooked it. Didn't fight a great deal when I got it in, but when I got him on the scales, absolutely made up. Oh, I'm so happy right now. Look how small its mouth is. Unbelievable. I've just got back from France and some of them fish, huge mouths. Obviously it's the bait they're eating. Wow. Getting closer to that magical 30 pound mark. I'd love to do that for you on this session. But if this is it, this will do me. I'm made up with this. Absolutely brilliant. Pit 6, thank you. Let's get her back. So yesterday and today, completely different days fishing wise. Weather very similar. The wind just a slightly different direction, but still blowing onto this bank. It's just more in my face today than it was yesterday. Yesterday when I got here, there was fish showing about 120, 150 yards out, and there was a lot of fish showing. The guy to my left, he'd had a couple of bites before I even got my rods in. The guys to my right, I believe they had a couple in the night, and obviously I had the two yesterday and the one this morning. Today, completely different. I did wonder whether the fish would get back on the feed again this afternoon because the conditions are ideal. We've got bright but overcast skies. There's a real good wind blowing. A little bit gusty now and again, but got a bit of a chop on the water and normally brings them on the feed. Yesterday, bright sunshine, quite warm in fact. Bit fresh in the breeze, but probably just as windy as today. Like I say, just a slightly different direction, and it's made a hell of a difference to where the fish seem to be feeding. Yesterday they were out in front of me, albeit at range, but today they just seem to have backed off and they're out in front of the A1 bank. Okay guys, so last night I said I'd run through the rigs with you first thing this morning. Well, because of what happened yesterday afternoon, all the activity out in the swim, the fish showing, crashing around, and obviously the two fish that I had, there's two runs. I wanted to leave the rigs out for an extended period of time, so you're joining me now. It's Friday afternoon. Nothing's happened since first thing this morning when I had that beautiful common. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to show you the rigs and what I'm doing and what's working on this session. Okay, I think I went through in a little bit of detail yesterday afternoon what I was doing with the rigs, but I'll try and show you in a bit more closer detail now and talk you through exactly what I'm doing and what's worked both yesterday and this morning. So the rig that got me the first bite is what's called a German rig. If you've seen any of my videos, I used this to quite a good effect on Pit 3 last year, about this time of year as well. Although I was using trimmed down yellow wafters on that session. This one I'm using more of a muted bait. Coming into this session I had in mind that with it getting a bit later on in the year, it's the end of the first week in September, these fish are going to be hammered, especially this year, on bright baits, on Ronnie rigs, on pop-ups. So I was trying to steer away from that kind of thing. I was looking at more at bottom-based rigs, so that's where the German rig comes in. I've got a nice stiff, Corda, semi-stiff, 20-pound coated material there, and you can see how it wants to retain its bend. It doesn't like to kink over. I haven't stripped any part of that rig, so it's got coating on all the way through, and it's just riding up and down on a helicopter rig on leg core, just stopped there about 6" up by a bead. So you've got a size 4 wide gape hook on there, and then part of the German rig is the actual bait is able to rotate on a hook link swivel that's just sat on the shaft of the hook, and it's stopped by a little hook bead. Very effective rig. Kicks out beautifully away from the lead and the leg core. Maybe tomorrow, if the weather's a little bit more better, I'll try and show you that on the underwater footage. Okay, so the second rig, the one I caught the second fish on last night and that beautiful common this morning, is what's called a Snowman rig. So you can probably see there I've got like a washed out salmon colour, I think you'd call it. That's actually a pop-up. Then underneath there's a dumbbell bottom bait. I'm using exactly the same material. That's the 20-pound Corda semi-stiff, but just at that end where the hook is, the last ½ inch is stripped back just to give a little bit more movement. That hook's going to lie flat on the bottom, and then just underneath the two baits, I'll show you a close-up in a minute, there's a little split shot. Now something like a BB or a number 1 if you've got them, just to sink that down, so when the hook's lying flat on the bottom, the baits are just sitting on the hook. I don't want them sitting up looking like a pop-up, I want them pinned to the bottom. So one's going to sit on top of the other like a snowman. Same again, because it's fairly critically balanced, it does kick away from the lead and the leg core quite well. You'll notice that's also running on a helicopter system. I'm sticking with the same theme, about 6 inches. It feels fairly clear out there. It's a big wide open gravel pit, so it's affected greatly by the wind. So I think a lot of the stuff on the bottom gets moved around quite a bit. But just in case there is any of that black shitty stuff out there, I just want that movement, that separation from the lead. I've got a quick change clip that's running up and down there, and then there's just a very small piece of silicone that's attaching the hook link onto the quick change. You'll notice just there, when I've made my rig, the doubled over section is probably longer than you would normally leave it. It's about 2.5 inches, and that double section there just helps to prevent tangles where that lead is sitting on the helicopter rig. Seems to work for me. So there you go, there's my 2 rigs. So last night I put one of the Snowman rigs out, and I actually put 2 of the wafter rigs out, but tonight I'm going to swap that round and I'm going in with 2 of the Snowmen, purely because it's done me more bites, and with me putting a little bit more bait out today in the spawn, if fish are just coming over the bait but they're not feeding on it, they may just home in on that washed out pink bait. So I've got 2 of them going out tonight and 1 of the wafters. Okay guys, that's it, all 3 rods out, a couple of Snowmen, 1 on the wafter, 6 or 8 spoms over the top, chop boilies. We're in the hands of the A1 Pits gods now. Gonna sit back, get some tea on, enjoy the sunset, and hopefully one of them beautiful mirror or common carp comes along in the morning. Okay guys, so you're joining me, it's first light on Saturday morning. It's been a quiet night again, a lot cooler last night. The wind at the minute, it's actually switched around, it's blowing off my back towards the 5-6 split bank. It's 5:45. Just wanted to get up and see if anything was showing anywhere. Got 1 more night left, so not that I'm really able to move because it's quite busy. Obviously it's the weekend now. Just want to see if them fish are showing long. Just sat here having a cup of tea, hoping and praying that we get a nice fish like we did yesterday morning. Well guys, I think we've passed bite time now. It's what, 5 to 8. Nothing really much happening, nothing showing. I've been up since at least 5:45 this morning. Had the first cup of tea of the day, We've had a rainbow from Steve's caravan going over to the church in South Muscombe. It's been out there for about the last hour, so it's obviously raining somewhere. I hope that's not a sign of things to come. Looking at the rest of the day and probably tonight, what I might do is bring the rods in and try and rest the swim a little bit. It's blatantly obvious that the fish have pushed out. They're certainly not here in the numbers like they were Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening. I didn't hear anything through the night. I don't think the guys to the left or the right of me have had anything either. So it's gone real moody, which is often the case with pit 6. When I fished here before, it can just switch on and off, even when the conditions look ideal. The fish don't always respond how you think they're going to. Tactics for later, well, that's still open. If it stays as it is and there's not a lot showing, I'm definitely not going to put any more bait in. I've got the other half coming out a bit later to bring some extra supplies for me. So I forgot to put the ice packs in the freezer on Wednesday. So I'm running out of fresh stuff to eat. So she's coming down in a couple of hours. I've got a couple of big chuck rods at home. I might get her to bring them down for me. Maybe go a bit longer tonight. Just get on them singles and thrash them out as far as I can get them. Okay guys, so we're going into the evening of Saturday night now. It's my last night. It's last chance saloon. Nothing's happened during the day. There's nothing really been showing in front of me, even at range. They're showing quite a long way off the A1 bank at the minute. The wind's been perfectly blowing into this bank. It's been a pretty strong westerly today. It's been overcast, beautiful conditions. But what I've noticed since I've been here, since Thursday night, is that the fish seem to sit at a kind of 90-degree angle to wherever the wind's blowing. The wind was hitting the A1 bank at a slight angle on Thursday night when I got here, and the fish were out in the front of here, out in front of the Trent bank. But I've noticed the last 2 days the wind switched around to more of a westerly, and it's coming in at an angle on this Trent bank, and they're showing at a 90-degree angle over out in front of the A1 bank, which is not where you'd expect them to be. So obviously they're sitting in the undertow, and I believe that's why they're moving around. That's my theory anyway, and it is only a theory. That's all you can look at really. So tonight I've got one rod going back out on the baited patch where I've been putting bait out for the last 2 nights. I've not put any more out today, and I'm not going to put any more out tonight. Had no action this morning, so I've no reason to believe that it's all gone. So I'm going to go back in, staying on the helicopter rigs. I'm going to put that Snowman back out there. It's done 2 of the 3 bites for me, so I'm going to keep my faith in that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, other half came down a bit earlier on, brought some supplies and bought a couple more rods out for me, a bit more suited to these conditions really, fishing a bit longer. So I'm going to try about 120, 130 out. I've had a couple of trial casts. I've noticed it's a little bit siltier out there, so just to make sure I get a good drop, I'm going to be fishing Ronnie rigs on those 2. I've got a muted off-white bait on one of them, and one of my washed out pink, almost salmon colour pop-ups on the other rod. So they're both going to be sitting about 1.5 inches off the bottom, and I'm literally going to blast them as far as I can. Hi guys, after 48 hours of absolutely nothing, I finally managed to hook one at range. I've just been cut off. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to go and have a little cry in the bivvy. I'll get back to you in a bit. So guys, I've been sat here for 10-15 minutes, calmed down a little bit after losing that fish. Made myself a cup of tea. So analysis, what happened? Well, last night the wind dropped, and I think I spoke to you about the rigs, and I was going to try and go a little bit longer with some different rods, and I managed to get a couple of rods about 135, 140 yards out. The wind dropped, so I was cracking them right out. In the afternoon, when I had a few practice casts just to see what was out there to decide what rig I was going to use, and I was pulling the lead back, and I realised it was a little bit more silty, hence why I put the Ronnies on. I did actually pull back quite a big ball of line, and it was covered in zebra mussels. So I knew there was a possibility out there of these zebra mussels and getting cut off, but obviously when you've got 140 yards of line out in the water, there's a lot of areas for problems. Now I know this side, I'm on the Trent bank, there isn't any bars in front of me, so I've not got fluctuating depth and fishing over the top of bars. But obviously these mussels have caused me a problem. I've got the leads set up on a helicopter drop-off system, one of the Corda drop-off leads. The problem is, obviously until you make contact with the fish and you put some pressure on that drop-off system, they don't come off. They're not like a leg clip where they come off quite quickly. So I think what's probably happened, you saw the run on camera. I was messing around with the camera at the time trying to photograph a heron. So I managed to get the run. And even at that range, it was an absolute one-toner. I think the line, being so far out, is being laid on the bottom, has run across some of these mussels and probably weakened it, and then when I've clamped down and got full tension on it, it's cracked me off. I probably only had it on for what felt like 20-30 seconds, could have been longer, I'm not sure, but it was certainly a long way out when I lost it. He's such a gutter, you can't put into words how it would have felt to finish on a fish. And instead now I'm going to be packing up and going home thinking, what if? I know it's an old saying, it's always the ones you lose are the biggest ones, but the ones that hit the back of the net, you know exactly how big they are. but the ones you lose always stay in the back of your mind. Well guys, agony to ecstasy in the space of a couple of hours after losing that fish earlier. Check that out. That's why we come to the A1 pits. 30 pound, 13 ounce. Not common like I was hoping, I said yesterday, but a mirror. Oh, I've gone from so low to so high this morning after losing that fish. Had this one over the baited spot, kept the confidence in that Snowman rig, and it's paid off in spades. Oh, I'm so happy now. I can go home thinking about this instead of that fish loss. Awesome. Just goes to show they don't all come at range. 80, 90 yards. A few chopped up boilies a couple of days ago. Nothing last night. And this has come at 11:15 this morning. Just as I was packing up. Chaos on Thursday, chaos this morning. Let's get back and get home. Fantastic. There you go guys, it's the end of the session. Thanks for watching. Let's get this beautiful fish back. Wicked.